to then be the subject of investigations if somebody you helped release participate in a protest that goes awry. And I think the purpose of these memos is to make sure.
It's a wild. Oh, he's running. And he disappeared. He's back. Jonah. Look. See the wild ivory. Oh, is that him? Yeah, he's right there. Oh, it's a ivory. Oh, and he's off. See him. What? Oh, it's a wild. Oh, he's running. Donna. It's a wild.
Whether they will hit a dead end. That doesn't mean that they will not be able to frighten foundations into silence from the top down. Right, this is the classic, is this incompetence or malevolence problem? I mean, one thing I need from you guys is another example, just so I understand how they could use that. Because when you describe the sort of, if you look into the ham sandwich, you'll find the Soros Foundation, then I think this is all insinuated. Because you won't find Soros Foundation behind the ham sandwich. But what are some realistic ways that they could thread this needle and go after something?
Well, so first of all, go after somebody has lots of meanings. Are they going to find criminality in the Soros Foundation? I very much doubt it. Are they going to paralyze the Soros Foundation, which is actually called the Open Society Foundation? Are they going to paralyze it with responding to investigations and show a lot of other foundations? Yes. Now, you're right that if that's all they can do, that's actually the system working. It's the system restraining a malevolent prosecutorial force with things like evidence. But now let's go back to the Comey indictment, which is, you can get to the point where if you are dishonest enough before a grand jury, you can actually indict someone. And the more complicated an evidentiary base gets, the easier that is to do. And so I think once you allow the manipulations of a grand jury process that relies to some degree on prosecutorial good faith, once you get rid of that expectation, well, you can do all kinds of things. There's a large collection of people who may be entirely innocent of the thing that you're investigating for, but did something, right? And if you create an environment in which I can simply point at you or Quinto or someone else and say, investigate them, find out what they did, rather than starting with a crime, most people have done something wrong at some point, and you end up with successful cases that are basically, we randomly spot checked your computer and you have some dirty images on it.
Right. Okay, here is the big grand historical thing that I cannot understand. I've been reading the Clay Ryzen book, Red Scare, and this is not our first rodeo. This is not the first time that an American president has excessively politicized the Justice Department. There's J. Edgar Hoover's use of the FBI, the Red Scare McCarthy era, Nixon and his enemies list. And then there were a series of Watergate reforms that were supposed to curb this kind of corrupt executive power. So why are we back here again?
The thing about most of those post-Watergate reforms is that they were codified on the level of intra-departmental rules for conduct, guidelines, norms. They, in many cases, were not written into law. In many cases, they couldn't be written into law because they would have infringed on presidential power in a way that clearly there were questions about whether or not that would have been constitutional. Now, I think would pretty unambiguously be
what we have